Um, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man wala. Last week, in our last class, then we were talking about the fact that the kuffar, they do actions, and Allah confirms for them that they do actions, that they fight and that they spend. But this fighting and this spending is for an intention, because we're talking about the intention here. This fighting and this spending is for an intention other than Allah Azza wa Jal. So they're not rewarded for it, and there is no grief or sorrow over that. And that is because they did not work with this hadith that we have here, this first hadith we're going to cover. And we stopped at that point where he said, لِأَجْلِ أَنَّهُ لَمْ يَعْمَلْ بِهَذَا الْحَدِيثِ, basically because the fact that he did not work with this hadith. And it continues where we stopped, وَهُوَ إِخْلَاصُ النِّيَّةِ لِلَّهِ سُبْحَانَهُ وَتَعَالَى. وهو إخلاص نيتي لله subhanahu. And it is, meaning this hadith is dealing with sincerity of the intention for Allah subhanahu, glorified is He. وقال عز وجل عن المنافقين. عن المنافقين. We'd have a kasr here for reading purposes. Right? That Allah Azza wa Jalla says about. An here would be translated as about. An al munafiqeen, about or regarding the hypocrites. Right? وَمَا مَنَعَهُمْ أَن تُقْبَلَ مِنْهُمْ نَفَقَاتُهُمْ إِلَّا أَنَّهُمْ كَفَرُوا بِاللَّهِ وَبِرَسُولِهِ. وَمَا مَنَعَهُمْ أَن تُقْبَلَ مِنْهُمْ نَفَقَاتُهُمْ. Ma here is a negation. We know wa is and. Ma is a negation. Mana'a. Mana'a meaning to prohibit. To prohibit or to prevent. Right? Ma mana'ahum. And nothing prevented them, and it was not prevented for them, an tuqbala minhum nafaqatuhum. Nafaqa is your fa'il. Nafaqa is your fa'il, and this ta was originally a ta marbuta here, right? And so this is why you have tuqbal, right? Tuqbal with the ta, because it's feminine. And an makes tuqbalu, tuqbala. Nafaqatuhum, their spending. Nafaqa, nafaqa is spending. Right? Anfaqa yunfiku, here nafaqa. Illa annahum kafaru billahi wa bi rasulihi. Except, basically there's nothing that prevented from them that their sadaqah, or that they're spending, not their sadaqah, their nafaqa, their spending be accepted from them or prevented from being accepted from them. Illa except annahum, that they kafaru billahi wa bi rasulihi, except that they disbelieved in Allah and in His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Fahum yunfikuna. Fahum yunfikuna. Lakinna lisu niyatihim. Fahum yunfikuna. So they spend. Yunfikuna. Lakinna lisu niyatihim. They spend, but Lisu'i, su, coming from sayya, right? Sin, wow, hamza, right? Meaning evil or corrupt. Niyatihim, niyatihim. Due to the evilness, or basically evil is better than corrupt, right? Sayya is evil, right? Lisu'i niyatihim. They spend, lakin, but due to Lisu'i niyatihim, the evilness of their intention, or the evil of their intentions. وَقَالَ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ أَيْضًا عَنْهُمْ. And Allah Azza wa Jal also, أيضًا, He also says, or said, عَنْهُمْ, about them, or regarding them. وَإِذَا قَامُوا إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ قَامُوا كُسَالَى يراؤون الناس ولا يذكرون الله إلا قليلا. He says, وَإِذَا قَامُوا, and if or when, وَإِذَا, if or when, قَامُوا, they stand, they stood basically, but here is referring to the past tense, but are the present tense or any tense, talking about the munafiqeen, the hypocrites. وَإِذَا قَامُوا, and if they stood إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ, to salah, if they stood and they got up to establish the salah, قَامُوا, they stood, kusala, from kaf, sin, lam, right? Kusala means lazily. They stood as lazy people. They stood kusala. They stood lazily, right? That's how they got up. When they got up for salat, they didn't get up with energy and vigor, oh, it's time for salat. Rather, they got up lazily. Yura'una an-nasa. Yura'una. Yura, coming from the root ra, alif, ya, to see, but here it being passive. It being meaning, and passive meaning they do it to be seen by the people. Yura'un an-nasa. They do it with riya. Yarhamakallah. They do it with riya. They do it to be seen of the people. وَلَا يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. And they don't remember. وَلَا يَذْكُرُونَ. And they don't remember Allah. Lafz al-jalala, the object of the verb. They don't remember Allah. إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. Except for a little bit. فَعِنْدَهُمْ صَلَاةٌ. So with them, or they have, inda, here could be with, or it can be them, they have it. So with them is salat, or they have salat. وَعِنْدَهُمْ dhikr. And they have dhikr, they have remembrance. Lakin, however, or but, ma nafa'ahum, right? Ma nafa'ahum, nafa' from noon, fa, ain, meaning to benefit. But it doesn't benefit them. Ma nafa'ahum, it doesn't benefit them. Li adami, li here, the lam ta'lil, the lam, this meaning due to, or because of, being the reason. Adami is the absence, right? Salahi niyati, the absence of the rectification or the correction of the intention. So as we said, we concluded talking about the kuffar having spending and having jihad, having qital, where they spend and they fight, but they spend and they fight for other than Allah, and this because they're not working with this hadith. وَهُوَ إِخْلَاصُ النِّيَّةِ لِلَّهِ سُبْحَانَهُ. And it is, this hadith basically is the sincerity of the intention for Allah, glorified as He. وقال عز وجل عن المنافقين, and Allah Azza wa Jal, He said about or regarding the hypocrites, وما منعهم أن تقبل منهم نفقاتهم إلا أنهم كفروا بالله وبرسوله, and nothing prevented, or they were not prevented from their spending to be accepted, except that they disbelieved in Allah and His Messenger. فهم ينفقون, so they spend, لكن لسوء نيتهم, but because of their evil or evilness of their intention. وقال عز وجل أيضا عنهم, and Allah Azza wa Jal, He says also about them or regarding them, وَإِذَا قَامُوا إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ, and if they stood to salah, or if they stand to salah, قَامُوا كُسَالَى, they stand lazily. يُرَاءُونَ النَّاسَ, they do it to be seen by the people. وَلَا يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا, and they don't remember Allah except a little. فَعِنْدَهُمْ صَلَاةٌ وَعِنْدَهُمْ ذِكْرٌ, so they have salah and they have dhikr, لكن ما نفعهم لعدم صلاح النية, but it doesn't benefit them due to the absence of the correct or the rectified intention. Any questions up to there? نفعهم no. نفع benefit, نفع ينفع, no, like علم نافع, beneficial knowledge. ومما يصلح النية, ومما, and from what, يصلح نية, from what rectifies or corrects the intention, مع الدعاء, along with dua, because if you remember, he started out that last long paragraph with the fact that Shaykh al-Islam, he says, and the dua, or he says that when he was asked what will help us to purify our intention, he said, ad-du'a yad'u al-shakhs rabbahu al-ikhlas, that he makes dua, he asks the slave, or the person asks his Lord for sincerity. So he says, وَمِمَّا يُصْلِحُ النِّيَّةَ مَعَ الدُّعَاء, so from what rectifies the intention along with dua, مَعَ الدُّعَاء is with, but here we say along with, al-iktharu min dhikrillah, al-ikthar, abundance, right, or an increase or an abundance, min dhikrillah, from the remembrance of Allah, an abundance of the remembrance of Allah. فَذِكْرُ for the remembrance of Allah, alamatul iman, it's a sign of iman. Alama is from Ain Lam Mim. Here alama means a sign. Alamatul iman, a sign of iman. Bi'idhnillah, bi'idhnillah, with the permission of Allah, right, with the permission of Allah. وَمَدْحُ النَّاسِ, وَمَدْحُ النَّاسِ, and the praise of the people. وَمَدْحُ النَّاسِ, madh is praise, right? We have madh and we have hamd. And this is something that you will learn, and I don't know it, but I see it. So I'm going to tell you the rule. I'm not able to fully utilize this rule, like extract everything. Allah knows best who is, right? But with contemplation and someone focusing, we can see here that these letters are all the same. Ha, mim, dal. And there is a rule in the Arabic language that words which come from similar roots or that sound almost alike and stuff like this, then they have a similar meaning that you can kind of tell. If a letter has a meme dal, like for instance, we have meme dal ha, and we have ha meme dal. So if, for instance, we had dal ha meme or dal meme ha, then it's a good chance that has something to do with praise and thanks. That these things happen in the Arabic language, even though they might be totally different roots due to their order and everything. When you have similar letters, then they're going to have a relationship. So anyway, madh as we have here is a type of praise, whereas hamd, like alhamdulillah, hamd is a praise that is due to a person, and it happens due to loving that person, right? So when you praise somebody, you say alhamdulillah because you love Allah Azza wa Jal. You wouldn't praise him, you wouldn't say alhamdu if you didn't love him, right? And if he wasn't deserving of that love. Whereas madh is praise, but it could be done out of other than love. It could be done out of fear or out of force, right? And it could be that he doesn't deserve it. So for instance, here he's talking about madhun nas ma yanfa'u. Ma yanfa'u. The praise of the people doesn't benefit, right? Madh, you could praise, for instance, your boss, but you wouldn't say alhamdu for your boss. You would say al-madh for your boss, right? Al-madh, it would be madh. Why? Because you're doing it to hopefully get a raise. You don't really deserve it, but you got to do it because it's a company meeting. And if you make him look bad, you're going to get fired. So this is madh. He could not deserve it, could not be done out of love or like. Rather, it's done for whatever purposes. So madhun nas, the praise of the people, ma yanfa'u. It doesn't benefit. The present tense of nafa'a, Abdullah. Nafa'a yanfa'u. Right? In kunta, if you were ala tariqin sawi, if you were on the straight path, sawiyin, you could say sawiyin.
You missed a word there.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Wa dhammuka, and that makes a lot of sense too. Jazakallahu khairan. Wa dhammuka is the opposite of madh, and their rebuke of you, basically. And the rebuke of you, dhammu is rebuke or blame. So madh is praise, and them is here being used as its opposite. Wa dhammuka, and you're blaming, you're being blamed or you're being rebuked, right? In kunta ala tariqin sawi, if you were on the straight path. Aydan la yadurru, aydan also la yadurru, with a shadda on that ra. La yadurru, it will not harm. So madhun nas ma yanfa, the praise of the people won't benefit. Wa dhammuka in kunta ala tariqin sawiyin aydan la yadur, and the blaming of you, if you're on the right path, also it won't harm. Right? Wa innama here being only tarakubullahi. Tarakub means from ra, qaf, ba. It means to be aware of Allah that Allah is watching you. He is raqibun alaykum. He is watching you. It's related to that. Taraqubu means to be aware that Allah is watching you. To have this knowledge that Allah Azza wa Jal, He is watching you. So you're like watching Him watch you. You understand? So taraqabullahi means that you're watching Allah watch you. You understand? Azza wa Jal, fima taqulu wa tadurru. Fima taqulu wa tadurru. Tadurru comes from dhal ra, meaning to sprinkle or to spread. Wa innama taraqabullahi, basically what's going to benefit you is not medhun nas, is not the dhammun nas, the blame of the people, right? Of the people is not going to harm you. Wa innama, it's only taraqabullahi, the watching of Allah, the being aware that Allah is watching you. Fima taqulu wa tadurru, in what you say and what you sprinkle or spread out through the earth, meaning what you do. It's just a verb that He used for basically for what you do and what you cause to be spread in the earth. Tadurru, to be spread or to sprinkle, right? So, وَمِمَّا يُصْلِحُ النِّيَّةَ مَعَ دُعَاء, and from what will rectify or correct the intention along with dua, al-iktharu min dhikrillah, an increase or an abundance in the remembrance of Allah. فَذِكْرُ اللَّهِ عَلَامَةُ الْإِيمَانِ بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ, for the remembrance of Allah is a sign of iman with Allah's permission. وَمَدْحُ النَّاسِ مَا يَنْفَعُ, and the praise of the people will not help you. وَذَمُّكَ إِن كُنْتُ عَلَى طَرِيقٍ سَوِيٍّ, and in the blame, and you're being blamed if you're on the right path. أَيْدٍ لَا يَضُرُّ, also it won't harm. وَإِنَّمَا تَرَاقَبُ اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ فِيمَا تَقُولُ وَتَضُرُّ, it's only that you are paying attention or aware that Allah is watching you in what you say and what you do. Basically, that is what's going to be the benefit, or that's where you'll find your harm in your lack of awareness that Allah is watching you and what you say and what you do. Any questions?
لا.
طيب يا صهيب اقرأ لنا من وهو إخلاص النية لله.
وهو إخلاص النية لله سبحانه. وقال عز وجل عن المنافقين وما منعهم أن تقبل منهم نفقاتهم إلا أنهم كفروا بالله وبرسوله فهم ينفقون لكن لسوء نيتهم. وقال عز وجل أيضا عنهم وإذا قاموا إلى الصلاة قاموا كسالى يراءون الناس ولا يذكرون الله إلا قليلا فعندهم صلاة وعندهم ذكر لكن ما نفعهم لعدم صلاح النية. ومما يصلح النية مع الدعاء الإكثار من ذكر الله فذكر الله علامة الإيمان بإذن الله. ومدح الناس لا ينفع وذمك إن كنت على طريقة سوي أيضا لا يضر. وإنما تراقب الله عز وجل فيما تقول وتضر.
الله يبارك فيك يا أبا سمية.
وهو إخلاص النية وقال عز وجل أن المنافقين وما منعهم أن تقبل منهم نفقاتهم إلا أنهم كفروا بالله وبرسوله. فهم ينفقون لكن لسوء نيتهم. وقال أيضا إذ قاموا إلى الصلاة قاموا كسالى يراءون الناس ولا يذكرون الله قليلا. فعندهم صلاة وعندهم صلاة وعندهم ذكر لكن ما نفعهم بعدم الصلاح النية. ومما يصلح نية مع الدعاء الإكثار من ذكر الله. فذكر الله علامة الإيمان بإذن الله. ومدعو الناس ما ينفع. وأنك إن كنت على طريق سوي أيضا لا يدور. وإنما تراقب الله عز وجل فيما تقول وتذر.
الله يبارك فيك.
وتذر.
الله يبارك فيك يا عبد الله.
إخلاص النية لله سبحانه. وقال عز وجل عن المنافقين وما منعهم أن يقبل منهم نفقاتهم إلا أنهم كفروا بالله وبرسوله فهم ينفقون لكن لسوء نيتهم. وقال عز وجل أيضا أنهم وإذا قاموا إلى الصلاة قاموا كسالى يراءون الناس ولا يذكرون الله إلا قليلا. فإنهم وعندهم ذكر لكن ما نفعهم لعدم صلاح النية. ومما يصلح النية مع الدعاء الإكثار من ذكر الله. فذكر الله علامة الإيمان بإذن الله. ومدعو الناس ما ينفع. وتمك إن كنت على طريق سوي أيضا لا يضر. وإنما تراقب الله عز وجل فيما تقول وتطور.
Now, if one is to listen to the audios, then he's going to find that most of what was just said, most of what we just read in the so-called introduction was after the statement of the very beginning. The introduction was only really one paragraph where it says وَكُلُّهَا شَامِلَةٌ لِأُمُورِ الدِّينِ, and all of it is comprehensive in the affairs of the religion. Then the reader of the book, he said, عن أمير المؤمنين أبي حفص رضي الله عنه, right? إنما الأعمال بالنيات. And the Sheikh stopped him, and then he went and explained this. So all of this, it seems like, not only is an introduction to the book, but the majority of it was an introduction to the first hadith, right? To the first hadith. But then after he did all of this explanation that we just read, the reader recited again, عن عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إنما الأعمال بالنيات. And the Sheikh stopped him, and he went on to explain this paragraph, right? And so most of what we read is actually from the introduction of this hadith, right? Not just the introduction of the book. But the hadith al-awwal, al-hadith al-awwal, the first hadith, عن عمر ibn al-Khattab رضي الله عنه, on the authority are from Umar ibn al-Khattab, and Umar is majroor with a fatha here being al-mamnu' min as-sarf. قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, he said that the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم, he said, إنما الأعمال بالنيات. Verily the actions are according to intentions. إنما الأعمال, الأعمال, actions, إنما are only بالنيات, or only with intentions, meaning a number of things. The Shaykh will explain what he wants to explain from that. وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَى. And only for every man or person, imri'in, man or person, right? From mim, ra, hamza, right? Imri'in, a person, a man, ma nawa, what he intended. And we'll go through this. And we already went through this hadith previously. So if someone needs more detail, they can refer back to that. But also, each statement will be dealt with individually below, so we can talk about it maybe a little more there. We're just mostly translating. وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ, and it is only for every man, مَا نَوَى, what he intended. فَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ, so whoever his hijrah was to Allah and his messenger, فَهِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ, then his hijrah was to Allah and his messenger. وَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ لِلدُّنْيَا يُصِيبُهَا, and whoever's intention was for the dunya, for him to achieve some of it. يُصِيبُهَا, meaning to get some of it, to achieve some of it. O imra'atin, or a woman, the plural of imri'in, right? Imra'atin yankihu, I mean not the plural, the feminine of imri'in. Imra'atin is the feminine of imri'in. O imra'atin yankihuha, or for a woman that he's going to marry. Fahijratuhu, then his hijrah, ila ma hajara ilay, is for whatever he migrated to. The Shaykh, he says, Bafi riwayatin, and in a narration, riwayah, a narration, meaning another narration of this hadith, another version, we could say, biniyatin, or biniyati. Up here we have biniyat, plural. Here we have biniyati, right? Some narrations, innamal a'malu biniyah. Some of them say innamal a'malu binniyat. Some of them are in the plural, some of them are in the singular. Yani innamal a'malu binniyat. The meaning of innamal a'malu binniyat, all actions are only according to their intentions. The meaning of that is innama yuthabu ar-rajulu. Yuthabu ar-rajul. A man is rewarded. Ala ar-rajula, asaf. يثاب الرجل. No. يثاب الرجل. آسف. A man is rewarded على أعماله. على أعماله, according to or upon his actions, بنية الصالحة, with the correct intention. إنما يثاب, the meaning, إنما الأعمال بالنيات, the meaning is إنما يثاب الرجل على أعماله بنية الصالحة, that a man is rewarded, he's only rewarded for his actions that have a sound or a correct niyyah, intention. أو لا يثاب بنية الفاسدة, or he's not rewarded يثاب بنية الفاسدة, for a corrupt niyyah, for a corrupt intention. Right? If he has a good intention, he's going to be rewarded. If he has a corrupt intention, he's not going to be rewarded. هذه قاعدة عظيمة. This is a عظيمة, a great قاعدة, a great rule, a great principle, a great foundation. Right? Here we'll say rule. Right? This is a great rule, a tremendous rule. وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَى. Right? And for every man is what he intended. Imri'in, as we said, is from mim ra alif. Imra'un is a man. Imra'atun is a woman. Right? The plural of imri'un is rijal, just like the plural of imra'atun is an-nisa. Right? Ma nawa, nawa yanwi. Nawa yanwi, what he intended. Yanwi is the present tense. Yani, the meaning of this, wa innama li kulli imri'in ma nawa, and for every man is what he intended. The meaning, yani, i'mal, a command, to do. Do is majzoom because it's a command. I'mal ma shi'ta. Shi'ta. Do what you want. I'mal ma what? Shi'ta. You have insha'Allah. Ma sha'Allah. Right? Shi'ta is you want. Sha'a is he wants. Shi'ta, you want. Masculine. I'mal ma shi'ta. Do what you want. Fallahu. For Allah. Here, fa doesn't mean so. It means it's a result of what came before it. So, for verily Allah, or for Allah, muttali'un ala qalbik. Muttali'un ala qalbik. Muttali'un comes from ta, lam, ain, means that he is, as we said, when a person does mutala'a in a book, it means that he is aware of what is in that book. Right? He is aware of what is in that book. Right? He is mutali'un ala qalbik, meaning Allah is aware of and acquainted with, right, what is in the heart, what is in your heart. Right? He's acquainted with what's in your heart. Ala qadri niyatik. Ala qadri niyatik. Upon the qadr is the amount or the strength or the level, you could say, right? I'm trying to think if there's any other better word. Ala qadri niyatik. According to the level of your intention, according to the strength of your intention, according like this, right? Tuthabu o tuaqibu. Tuthabu, you are rewarded. O tuaqibu, or you are punished. Ala qadri niyatik, according to the level or the amount or the strength or however you want to word that, right, of your intention, you are rewarded or you are punished.
تعاقب
Tu'aqubu,
مجهول.
naam, tu'aqabu, jazakallahu khairan. Tu'aqabu, tu'aqabu, naam, majhul. Tu'aqabu, meaning you are rewarded. Not that you reward, which would be tu'aqibu, but tu'aqabu, you are rewarded. Jazakallahu khairan. Wa idha ra'ayta, so if you see or if you saw ahlul ardi, the people of the earth, if you saw the people of the earth, jami'ahum, all of them. Ahla is mansub because it's the object of the ra'ayta, right? And jami'a is basically a badal or a replacement or an adjective, you could say even. Jami'ahum, all of them. Ya'maluna. If you see all of the people of the earth acting, right, doing deeds, فَالنَّفْسُ, and we're going to see that nafs is feminine, right, even though it doesn't have a ta marbuta. فَالنَّفْسُ, so the soul or the self, right, depends on, it could be the self or it could be the soul, depends on the context, right? So the soul, majbulatun, majbulatun. The soul is majbula with a ta marbuta because nafs is feminine. Majbula is from jim bal lam, and there's something in like we call jabilla, like for instance, I'm trying to think of something from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam liking squash. This is min jabillatihi. This is from his nature, right? It's not revelation that Allah told him to like squash, right? Rather, it's from his nature. So majbula, is فَالنَّفْسُ مَجْبُولَةٌ عَلَى الْحُبِّ الْعَمَلِ الصَّالِحِ. Right? Let me see if I can erase that. There we go. مَجْبُولَةٌ عَلَى حُبِّ الْعَمَلِ الصَّالِحِ. So the soul, it basically, majbula here is like it has a natural disposition for loving righteous actions. The soul has a natural disposition for loving righteous actions. I don't know how you would translate it as an adjective there, the way it is in the text. Maybe naturally inclined. فَالنَّفْسُ مَجْبُولَةٌ عَلَى حُبِّ الْعَمَلِ الصَّالِحِ. So the soul is naturally inclined to loving righteous actions. That might be good, naturally inclined. حتى ولو كان رجلا كافرا. حتى even ولو كان رجلا كافرا. Even if the man was a kafir. Even if the man was a kafir. It was a kafir man. يحب الإحسان. He loves ihsan. He loves doing goodness. للضعفاء. ضعفاء. He loves doing good. لِلدُّعَفَاءِ, to the poor, to the weak. Du'afa, plural of da'if. لِلدُّعَفَاء. وَالْأَيْتَامِ. Aitam is the plural of yatim, the orphans. Even a kafir man likes doing good to orphans and to poor weak people. وَنَحْوِ ذَلِكَ, and similar to that. Nahwi meaning similar to that. Lakin ya'ti ash-shaytanu, but shaitan comes. Ya'ti ash-shaytan fayufsidu. That's supposed to be a sukoon, that thing up top on the fa. Fayufsidu alayhi aniyah. He comes and he corrupts for him the intention. Right? هذه قاعدة عظيمة. This is a tremendous rule. وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى, يعني اعمل ما شئت فالله مطلع على قلبه. Verily, for every man what he has intended, meaning do what you want, for Allah He's aware and acquainted with your heart. على قدر نيتك تثاب أو تعاقب. According to the strength of your intention, you are rewarded or you are punished. وَإِذَا رَأَيْتَ أَهْلَ الْأَرْضِ جَمِيعَهُمْ يَعْمَلُونَ, and if you've seen all of the people of the earth doing deeds, فَالنَّفْسُ مَجْبُولَةٌ عَلَى حُبِّ الْعَمَلِ الصَّالِحِ, so the soul is naturally inclined towards doing a righteous action. حَتَّى وَلَوْ كَانَ رَجُلٌ كَافِرًا, even if the man, it was a kafir, a disbelieving man. يُحِبُّ الْإِحْسَانِ لِلدُّعَفَاءِ وَالْأَيْتَامِ وَنَحْوِ ذَلِكَ, he loves doing good towards the weak and the orphans and similar to that. لكن يأتي الشيطان, but shaitan comes, فَيُفْسِدُ عَلَيْهِ النِّيَّةِ, so he comes and he corrupts for him the intention. Any questions?
لا.
فمن كانت هجرته إلى الله ورسوله فهجرته إلى الله ورسوله, so whoever his hijrah was for Allah and His Messenger, then his hijrah was for Allah and His Messenger. يعني فمن كانت هجرته إلى الله ورسوله, then whoever his hijrah was for Allah and His Messenger, فيعطى, then he is given, from ata yu'ti, meaning to here he is given. This is majhul. Yu'ta min al-thawabi, we put a fatha there for reading purposes. Min al-thawabi, he is given from the rewards, from the thawab, ma qasadahu, what he intended. Qasada, here he intended. Like qasadahu min hijratihi ilallahi wa rasulihi. Then he gets reward for yu'ta min al-thawab, so he's going to be given from the rewards ma qasadahu, whatever he intended, min hijratihi ilallahi wa rasulihi, from his hijrah to Allah and His Messenger. Hada fi at-ta'a, this is in obedience, this is in acts of obedience. Fi amrin mubahin, in an affair which is, in a matter which is permissible. Fi amrin mubah, in a permissible matter. If it's a permissible matter and it's done for the right reason, then he's going to be rewarded. Yani فَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ, whoever his hijrah was for Allah, or was to Allah and His Messenger, so whoever basically his hijrah was to Allah and His Messenger, فَيُعْتَى مِنَ الثَّوَابِ مَا قَصَدَهُ مِنْ هِجْرَتِهِ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ, he's going to be given from the rewards مَا قَصَدَهُ, what he intended it from his hijrah to Allah and his messenger. هذا في طاعة. This is in obedience. في أمر مباح. In an affair which is permissible. ومن كانت هجرته للدنيا يصيبها. And whoever his hijrah was to the dunya, lidunya, yusibuha, in order to get a piece of it. Oh, imra'atin, or to a woman, right? Going back to this li, or to a woman. Yankihuha, fahijratuhu ila ma hajara ilay. Then his hijrah is for what he made hijrah to. هذا القسم الثاني. This is the second category. Qism is category or division. This is the second division, the second category. النية قد تكون. The intention, it could be فيه مباحة. مباحة, right? It could be mubaha, right? Mubaha meaning permissible, from mubah, right? It could be something just permissible, not recommended, not obligatory, not disliked, not haram, just a matter permissible. The niyyah could be in something permissible, or fasida, or corrupt, or in something corrupt. إذا كانت الدنيا إذا كانت الدنيا, if the dunya is mubaha, right, is permissible, the matters of the dunya, this life, are permissible. ما يؤجر يؤجر الشخص يؤجر, from ajara يأجر. Here, yu'jaru being passive. Yu'jaru. I'm trying to write a dhamma. Then he is not rewarded. The person is not rewarded ala hadha al-mubahi, according to this permissible thing. Just to make it clear, right? فَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ فَهِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. Whoever his hijrah is to Allah and his messenger, then his hijrah was to Allah and his messenger. يعني فمن كان هجرته إلى الله ورسوله فيؤتى من الثواب ما قصده من هجرته إلى الله ورسوله. So whoever he made this hijrah to Allah and his messenger, then he will be given from rewards according to what he intended for his hijrah to Allah and his messenger. This is an obedience in a matter which is permissible. ومن كانت هجرته للدنيا يصيبها أو امرأة ينكحها فهجرته إلى ما هاجر إليه. Then whoever made hijrah in order to achieve some of the dunya, or in order to marry a woman, then his hijrah is for what he made hijrah towards. Right? Doesn't mean that he did a sin. This is the second category. هذا قسم الثاني. This is second. النية قد تكون فيه مباحة. There could be something permissible in it. It could be corrupt. إذا كانت الدنيا مباحة, if the dunya is permissible, ما يؤجر شخص على هذا مباح, then a person is not rewarded for this permissible thing. So is it haram for a person to make hijrah for the sake of the dunya, or in order to marry a woman? Is that haram? No. There's a woman, you want to marry her, she lives in another city, in another state, in another country. You want to marry a woman from Malaysia, and she can't get into your country. She can't get a visa to your country. And you want to marry her, so you must move to her country if you want to be with her. No problem. That's not a problem. It's not haram to make that hijrah. Right? You want to get a job. They're offering you a job in another city. Right? And that job is making a lot more money. So you go move for that job, another country, another state. So you move for the sake of the job. It's permissible. But you're not rewarded for that. You're not going to be rewarded for that permissible thing. Right? Any questions? Oh yeah, he says quickly, unless you got to read this and stop, then we can do that as well. It's up to you guys. You tell me. Let's read it because it's too quick, unless Suhaib has to go or something.
I have time.
Okay. Oh, imra'atin yankihuha, or a woman that he marries, mubah, kadhalik, permissible, likewise. فإذا كان قصده, if his niyyah was, his intention was لأمر سيئ, if his intention was for an evil affair, لدنيا ونحو ذلك, and similar to that, an evil matter in the dunya, and similar to that, فَلَا يُثَابُ عَلَى ذَلِكَ, for then he won't get any thawab, he won't get any reward for that. Right? If he did it for the wrong reason, for an evil reason, he made hijrah to Colorado because Colorado has it's legal to smoke marijuana there. It's not going to be rewarded for that. Right? There's not going to be any reward for that. Right? If it's a permissible matter, it's different. He goes to Colorado because it's a good job, or a good Muslim woman that can't move right now. She's taking care of her parents and their parents need her and you want to help her in that, that's permissible, no problem. But you move in there because prostitution is legal in Nevada or marijuana is legal in Colorado, then there's no reward for that, right? He says, Rawahu imama al-muhaddithin. This is imaman, marfu', but because it is mudaf, we drop our noon, right? Whenever we have that noon there, we drop it. Rawahu, narrated it, imama al-muhaddithin, the two imams of the muhaddithin. Abu Abdullah, we don't need to translate that, right? The father of Abdullah, Muhammad ibn Ismaila. Muhammad ibn Ismaila. Muhammad, the son of Ismail, Ibn Ibrahim, the son of Ibrahim, Ibn al-Mughirati, the son of al-Mughira, Ibn Bardizbah. And there's a sukoon on that ha at the end of Bardizbah. It doesn't have any i'rab or anything there. It's a sukoon, right? Because it's a foreign name and that's how it is. Bardizbah. It's not going to be Bardizbahu, Bardizbaha, Bardizbahi. It's just Bardizbah, always. Al-Bukhari, Al-Ju'fi, right? Bukhara being the place where he's from. Ju'fi is a sign of Al-Mughira. Al-Mughira is the one who accepted Islam. Al-Mughira is the grandfather of his that accepted Islam, right? And he was a freed slave of a man Al-Ju'fi. So this is where he gets his Al-Ju'fi from. Well, usually when a person would become a freed slave of someone, then they would take their last name or their tribal name as part of theirs. So Al-Ju'fi is a reference to Al-Mughira being the freed slave of Al-Ju'fi, right? Then he says, wa Abul Hussein, and the father of Hussein, Muslim, it's a tanween there. Ibn al-Hajjaji, Muslim, the son of Hajjaj, Ibn Muslim, which is missing here. It says Ibn, but it doesn't give Ibn of who. It's not Ibn al-Qushayri. Al-Qushayri is a reference to the tribe that he's from. So it's Muslim, Ibn al-Hajjaj, Ibn Muslim, al-Qushayri. And if you listen to the audio, the reciter recites Muslim here. It's not that the sheikh missed it or the reciter missed it, but rather the typist missed it, the one who did the transcription. Muslim ibn al-Hajjaj ibn Muslim al-Qushayri. right? Showing what tribe he's from, right? An-Naysaburi. An-Naysaburi is also where he's from, the land where he is from. Fi Sahihayhima. Again, Sahihain. But because of the idafa, we drop our noon. In their two sahihs. Alladhaini. This is not alladhina, but alladhaini. Because we're talking about two. Which, huma asahul kutubi. They are the most correct. Like we have sahih, we have asah. We have something is sahih, which is correct and authentic. Here we have asah, the most authentic. Books, musannafa. Musannafa, because musannif with a kasra is the author. Musannafa is authored, right? Authored. And that's because the Quran is not authored by any man, right? The Quran is the speech of Allah, غير مخلوق, uncreated. So, وَهُمَ أَصَحُ الْكُتُبِ الْمُصَنَّفَةِ, and they're the most authentic books that were authored. وَمُسْلِمُ هُوَ تِلْمِيذُ الْبُخَارِي. He's the student of Bukhari. Tilmid is another word for talib. Tilmidul Bukhari. He's a student, a pupil of Bukhari. Wal Bukhariyu, and Bukhari A'jamiyun. He's a non-Arab. He's a foreigner. A'jami. A'jamiyun. He's a foreigner. Wa Muslim Abiyun. And Muslim is an Arab. Kushairi. He's Kushairi. He's from the Kushairi tribe. Muslim was an Arab. وَبَقِيَّةُ أَصْحَابِ الْكُتُبِ السِّتَّةِ, and the remaining baqiyya of the companions of the 6 books, أَعَاجِمُ. A'ajimu, they are foreigners, the plural of ajami. Mamnu min as-sarf, so it is without a tanween. A'ajimu, they are foreigners. وَبَعْدُهُمْ يَسْتَثْنِي أَبَا دَاوُد. Here, unless you listen to the tape, it might not be clear if you were just to read. وَبَعْدُهُمْ, and some of them, Yastathni Aba Dawood. They give an exception to Yastathni. Yastathni is to give an exception. They make an exception for Aba Dawood. They make an exception for Abu Dawood. Fahuwa Sijistani. Because he is Sijistani. Fahuwa Sijistani. They're saying he might be an Arab too. Muslim, and some of them say Abu Dawood. Right? That he is an Arab, they say. فَأَصْحَابُ الْكُتُبِ السِّتَّةِ أَعَاجِمُ. أَعَاجِمُ. They are foreigners. They weren't Arabs. So the companions of the 6 books, they were foreigners. سِوَى الْإِمَامِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. Except for, siwa here meaning except or but, al-Imam Muslim, and those who say Abu Dawud, right? But he didn't repeat that. Wal-Bukhariyu tilmiduhu Muslimun. And Bukhari, his student, tilmiduhu Muslim. His student is Muslim. Wa tilmiduhu, and his student is an-Nasa'i aydan, also. Right? What? Tilmiduhu, and his student is an-Nasa'i also. Any questions? Yalla ya Suhaib, ikra lana.
الحديث الأول عن عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إنما الأعمال بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى فمن كانت هجرته إلى الله ورسوله فهجرته إلى الله ورسوله ومن كانت هجرته لدنيا يصيبها أو امرأة ينكحها فهجرته إلى ما هاجر إليه. وفي رواية بالنية يعني إنما الأعمال بالنيات إنما يصاب الرجل على أعماله إنما يصاب الرجل على أعماله بالنية الصالحة أو لا يصاب بالنية الفاسدة. هذه قاعدة عظيمة. وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى يعني اعمل ما شئت فالله مطلع على قلبك على قدر نيتك تصاب أو تعاقب. وإذا رأيت أهل الأرض جميعهم يعملون فالنفس مجبولة على حب العمل الصالح حتى لو كان رجلا كافرا يحب الإحسان للضعفاء والأيتام ونحو ذلك، لكن يأتي الشيطان فيفسد عليه النية. فمن كانت هجرته إلى الله ورسوله فهجرته إلى الله ورسوله يعني فمن كانت هجرته إلى الله ورسوله فيعطى من الثواب ما قصده من هجرته إلى الله ورسوله. هذا في الطاعة في أمر مباح. ومن كانت هجرته لدنيا يصيبها أو امرأة ينكحها فهجرته إلى ما هاجر إليه. هذا القسم الثاني النية قد تكون فيه مباحة أو فسادة. إذا كانت الدنيا مباحة ما يؤجر الشخص على هذا المباح أو أمر أو امرأة ينكحها مباح كذلك، فكان قصده لأمر شيء لدنيا ونحو ذلك.
أمر سيء. That's a sin, not a sheen. No.
فإذا كان قصده لأمر سيء لدنيا ونحو ذلك فلا يصاب على ذلك. رواه إمام المحدثين أبو عبد الله محمد بن إسماعيل بن إبراهيم بن المغيرة بن بادزبة البخاري الجعفي وأبو الحسين مسلم بن حجاج بن قشيري النيسابوري في صحيحيهما اللذين هما أصح الكتب المصنفة. ومسلم تلميذ.
Akhi, 1 second. You didn't. I didn't hear it. If you said it, I didn't hear it. But after Ibn al-Hajjaj, Ibn Muslim, it's not written here, but it's there, right? He said it in the audio, but the typist forgot it because he's not Ibn al-Qushayri. Al-Qushayri is his tribe. Fadl.
ومسلم تلميذ البخاري والبخاري أعجمي ومسلم عربي قشيري وبقية أصحاب الكتب الستة أعاجم وبعضهم يستثني أبا داود فهو سجستاني. فأصحاب الكتب الستة أعاجم سوى الإمام مسلم. البخاري تلميذه مسلم وتلميذه النسائي أيضا.
الله يبارك فيك يا أبا سمية.
الحديث الأول عن عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إنما الأعمال بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى فمن كانت هجرته إلى الله ورسوله فهجرته إلى الله ورسوله ومن كانت هجرته للدنيا يصيبها أو امرأة ينكحها فهجرته إلى ما أجر إليه. وفي رواية بالنية يعني إنما الأعمال بالنيات، إنما يثاب الرجال على الأعمال بالنية الصالحات أو لا يثاب بالنية فاسدة. هذه قاعدة عظيمة، وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى، يعني اعمل ما شئت فالله مطلع على قلبك على ما قدري
على قدري لا على ما
على قدر نيتك تصاب أو تعاقب. وإذا رأيت أهل الأرض جميعهم يعملون فالنفس مجبولة على حب العمل الصالح، حتى ولو كان رجلا كافرا. يجب الإحسان للضعفاء والأيتام ونحو ذلك، لكن يأتي الشيطان فيفسد عليه النية. فمن كانت هجرته إلى الله ورسوله فهجرته إلى الله ورسوله، يعني فمن كانت هجرته إلى الله ورسوله فيؤتي من ثواب ما قصده من هجراته إلى الله ورسوله. هذا في الطاعة في أمر مباح. ومن كانت هجراته للدنيا يصيبها أو امرأة ينكرها فهجراته إلى ما أجر إليه. هذا قسم ثاني. النية قد تكون فيه مباحة أو فاسدة. إذا كانت الدنيا مباحة ما يهجر شخصا على هذا
شخص
ما يحجر شخص على هذا المباح، أو امرأة ينكرها مباح كذلك. فإذا كان قصده لأمر شيء
سيء
لأمر سيء للدنيا ونحو ذلك فلا يثاب على ذلك. رواه الإمام المحدثين أبو عبد الله محمد بن إسماعيل بن إبراهيم بن المغيرة بن بردزبة البخاري الجعفي وأبو الحسن
أبو الحسين
وأبو الحسين مسلم ابن الحجاج ابن مسلم القشيري النيسابوري في صحيحيهما اللذين هما أصح الكتاب المصنف. الكتب المصنف والكتب المصنف والمسلم تلميذ البخاري والبخاري أعجمي ومسلم عربي قصير وبقية أصحاب الكتب الستة أعجم وبعضهم يستثني أبا داود فهو سجستاني فأصحاب الكتب الستة أعجم سوى الإمام مسلم وبخاري تلاميذه مسلم وتلاميذه
No, not تلاميذ. تلميذ. تلاميذ is the plural.
وبخاري تلاميذه.
No, تلميذه.
تلميذه نعم. وبخاري تلميذه مسلم وتلميذه نسائي أيضا.
No. Well, after siwa, first off, two things. Ajimu, it's ajimu with a kasr on the jim. And siwa, after siwa, the noun is majroor. Siwa al-imami muslimin. Hakada. Yalla Abdullah.
الحديث الأول عن عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إنما الأعمال
بالنيات. Pay attention to that alif. Niyat.
بالنيات.
نعم.
وإنما كل امرئ ما نواه فمن كانت هجرته إلى الله رسوله فهجرته إلى الله ورسوله ومن كانت هجرته لدنيا يصيبها أو امرأة ينكحها فهجرته إلا ما هاجر إليه وفي رواية
نعم.
بالنيات يعني إن الأعمال بالنيات إنما يثاب رجل على الأعمال بالنيات الصالحة أو لا يثاب بالنيات الفاسدة. هذه قاعدة إثمة وإنما لكل امرئ
نعم.
ما نواه يعني إهمال ما
لا اعملوا اعمل because it's a command, it's مجزوم. اعمل not اعملوا. اعمل.
Okay. اعمل ما شئت فالله مطالع على قلبك ألا قدري نياتك تطاب أو تعاقب. وإذا رأيت أهل الأرض جميعهم يعملون. Okay, فالتفس مجبولة على حب أحمل الصالح ولو أن رجلا كافرا يحب الإحسان للضعفاء والأيتام ونحو ذلك، لكن يأتي الشيطان فيفسد عليه نية. فمن كانت هجرته إلى الله ورسوله فهجرته إلى الله ورسوله، يعني فمن كانت هجرته إلى الله ورسوله فيؤتى من الثواب ما قصده من هجرته إلى الله ورسوله. هذا في الطاعة في أمر مباح. ومن كانت هجرته للدنيا يصيبها أو امرأة ينكحها فهجرته إلا ما هاجر إليه. هذا القسم الثاني. النية قد تكون فيه مباحة أو فاسدة إذا كانت الدنيا مباحة
نعم.
ما يؤجر الشخص على هذا المباح، أو امرأة ينكحها مباح كذلك. فإذا كان قصده أمرا سيئا الدنيا ونحو ذلك فلا يثاب على ذلك. رواه إمام المحدثين أبو عبد الله محمد ابن إسماعيل ابن إبراهيم ابن Mughira, I think it's Mughirati, Badizbah, Bukhari, I think it's Ja'fi. Or Ju'fi.
No.
Wa Abu Hussein, Muslim ibn Hajjaj, ibn Muslimul Kushayri, Nasai,
right.
Naysaburi.
No.
في صحيحة في صحيحيهما الثاني هما أسهل خطب المنفي ومسلم تلميذ البخاري وبخاري جامعاني ومسلم عربي
كشيري نعم
كشيري وبكيبة وكية أصحاب كتبه ستة أعجم وبعدهم يستثني أبو داود
يستثني
أبو داود يستثني
نعم
أبو داود
أبا داود
أبا داود وهو سجستاني فأصحاب الكتب
ستة نعم
ستة